1206 AD. Dawn breaks over the Mongolian steppe. Frost glitters on 1,000 horsemanes as tribes gather in a great circle beneath a sky of silver clouds. At the center stands a man in wolf fur, his face carved by wind and war. He wears no crown, only a bow at his side and scars across his hands. Yet the banners before him bow like grass in the wind. Drums thunder. From this moment, Temüjin, son of the wolf and child of the steppe, will take a new name: Genghis Khan, universal ruler. By nightfall, an empire will be born from dust. This is the story of how one man turned the endless steppe into the edge of the world. The Mongolian steppe is a world of extremes, winters that crack bone, summers that shimmer with mirage. A single storm can erase a village. A single drought can erase a generation. For the nomads who lived here, survival was not granted. It was earned daily on horseback. Their lives were built around movement, tents of felt, herds of sheep and horses, a horizon that never ended. Freedom was absolute, but so was fragility. When food ran short, tribes raided one another for livestock, women, and vengeance. It was a land that taught two lessons: trust no wall, follow only strength. How could such scattered tribes ever unite, and who could make them obey? The man who would rule the world began as prey. Temüjin was born around 1162 AD near the Onon River to a minor chieftain named Yesugei. His father was poisoned by rivals when the boy was still a child. Soon after, their tribe abandoned his mother and her 7 children on the steppe to die. They survived on roots, berries, and stolen scraps of meat. Temüjin learned to hunt, to fight, and above all, to remember every betrayal. When his half-brother tried to command the family, Temüjin killed him. His first lesson that leadership is not given, only taken. The boy grew into a survivor who measured trust in actions, not promises. He learned patience from hunger and discipline from fear. He had no teachers, only enemies, and from them he learned everything he needed. At 15, Temüjin was captured by the Taichi Ud, a rival clan. They shackled him to a wooden collar and paraded him like a trophy. For days he dragged it through the camp, the wood biting his neck, every breath a humiliation. One night during a storm, he slipped free of his guards. A sympathetic family hid him in a pile of wool until his pursuers passed. By dawn, he vanished into the mist, barefoot, starving but unbroken. Later, he would say the gods had spared him for a purpose. Whether divine or human, that escape forged his belief in destiny. He would never be a captive again, and no one who defied him would remain free. Freedom on the steppe required followers, and followers required loyalty. Temüjin began to form alliances not through blood, but through merit. He shared loot fairly, protected the weak, and punished betrayal swiftly. Among his earliest allies was Jamuka, his blood brother and equal. Together they hunted, raided, and dreamed of uniting the tribes. Jamuka's charisma drew nobles, Temüjin's discipline drew warriors. But their visions differed. Jamuka ruled through tradition, Temüjin through justice. He abolished hereditary rank and promoted men for skill alone. He demanded obedience, not to family, but to purpose. It was revolutionary and dangerous. Could a people built on freedom ever accept the chains of order? The partnership fractured. Jamuka crowned himself Khan of the Mongols. Temüjin challenged him. The steppe divided between two visions, one bound by old oaths, the other by new discipline. Their war lasted over 10 years. Temüjin's armies moved with precision unheard of among nomads. Units of 10, 100,000, each led by captains chosen for loyalty, not birth. Signals flashed by torchlight. Horse archers struck and vanished before dawn. When Temüjin captured them, he did something the tribes had never seen. He spared those who surrendered and executed those who did not. Mercy became his weapon, and fear its echo. In time, Jamukha was betrayed by his own allies and brought to Temüjin in chains. Old friendship met new law. Temüjin offered him a quick death. The steppe that once devoured families now bowed before one. At the Onon River, the surviving tribes gathered under the eternal blue sky. They placed Temüjin upon a felt carpet, raised him high, and hailed him as Genghis Khan, universal ruler. He proclaimed a new code of laws, dubbed the Yasa, binding every tribe under the same rule. No theft, no abduction, no betrayal between brothers of the steppe. Messengers rode freely across his lands, protected by his name. Religion was free, trade was safe, and justice no longer bent to clan. The age of chaos was over. In its place stood order, swift, brutal, and unshakable. What began as survival had become empire. And Genghis Khan, son of an outcast widow, was now the master of all Mongolia. But a man who conquers the steppe will soon hunger for the world beyond it. The horsemen of Genghis Khan were about to ride into history, and no wall, not even China's, would stop them. The first test of empire stood across a line of mountains, the Jin dynasty in northern China, rich in cities and layered in walls. Genghis Khan sent riders not only with arrows, but with offers. Submit, pay tribute, keep your lives. When envoys returned with insults, he chose the long road, learning the art of siege as if it were a new language. Chinese and Khitan engineers joined his ranks. Towers rolled forward, catapults thumped like drums, sappers tunneled beneath foundations. Mongol horse archers circled the walls like wheeling hawks, cutting supply lines, starving garrisons of hope. City by city, the steppe learned how to break stone. In 1215 AD, the Mongols reached Zhongdu, the city we now call Beijing. Its granaries groaned, its streets crawled with refugees. After months of pressure, the gates failed. Smoke smeared the sky, looters swarmed. A kingdom measured in lacquer and silk learned the price of scorning the steppe. On the plain, victory was speed. In the city, victory was patience, and he now commanded both. With the north subdued and the Jin retreating south, Genghis Khan did not plant a throne. He planted order, a census for tribute, relay stations for riders, governors who answered to law, not blood. Then he turned his gaze west, toward a merchant empire that would make the mistake of killing his men. The Khwarezmian Empire stretched from Persia to the Sir-Daria, its markets heavy with silk and spice. Genghis sent a caravan and a letter. Friendship first, profit next. At Otrar, the governor seized the goods and executed the merchants as spies. When the Khan demanded justice, the Shah replied with arrogance, shaving and beheading Mongol envoys, an insult worse than war. Genghis Khan answered with 3 armies. One slammed east to west like a door, another surged down the Sir-Daria, and a third, led by Jebe and Subutai, slipped wide to cut escape before it began. Bukhara fell first. The Khan stood in the mosque and addressed the city. I am the scourge of God. If you had not sinned greatly, God would not have sent a punishment like me upon you. He returned the temple to prayer and sent his men to strip the garrison of weapons. Samarkand broke next, its war elephants panicking under arrow storms. Urgench held longer, where canals braided the land and defenders fought house to house. The Mongols diverted rivers, turned streets to mud, and shattered resistance stone by stone. The war was ruthless but not blind. Skilled craftsmen were spared and resettled. Roads were kept open, markets reopened under new masters. The punishment was aimed at defiance, not at trade. And always the message rode ahead. Do not kill envoys, do not betray terms. Submit and live. The empire he built was not only speed and terror, it was information. Scouts mapped rivers, clerks counted mouths, like a nervous system spreading from Korea to the Caspian. With Khwarezm shattered, Jebe and Subutai were unleashed, a reconnaissance in force that read the continent like a scroll. They crossed winter deserts, climbed the Caucasus, scattered Georgian armies, and entangled rival steppe tribes who had mocked the Mongols as provincial upstarts. In 1223 AD, on the Kalka River, they met a coalition of Kievan Rus princes. The Rus formed a heavy line of armored cavalry and advancing infantry. The Mongols retreated on purpose. Hours passed, the line stretched, cohesion frayed. Then the horse archers turned and shattered the pursuit with arrows and encirclement. When the dust settled, the princes were dead or bound, the coalition broken. How does a people with no stone cities defeat those who live behind them? By refusing to fight the battle the enemy understands. The Western raid ended not in conquest but in clarity. Subutai marked the fords, the roads, the alliances worth breaking later. The Mongols could reach the edge of Europe and return alive. But every storm eventually finds its end. In the campaign against Western Xia, Genghis Khan fell ill, or fell from his horse. The sources disagree. He called his sons and commanders to his tent. The order was simple, merciless, methodical. Finish the war, spare those who submit, slay those who defy, honor the law, keep the couriers running, and bury me where no enemy can find my bones. When he died in 1227 AD, silence rippled outward like wind over grass. The army wept, then obeyed. Western Xia was erased. His body, so legend says, was carried to Mongolia by a funeral party that killed every witness and had the ground trampled by horses until no trace remained. Maybe the grave lies by the Onon, maybe the steppe holds him everywhere and nowhere at once. He built the largest land empire in history and left no mausoleum, no pyramid, only roads and laws and fear. After Genghis, the empire did not shatter, it accelerated. His son Ögedei drove deeper into China and west toward Hungary. Mungke stabilized the core. Kublai would later found the Yuan dynasty and rule from Beijing. But the skeleton remained Genghis Khan's, the decimal army, units of 10, 100, 1,000, 10,000. The Yam courier system, relay stations a day's ride apart. Religious tolerance as policy, and a relentless protection of merchants and messengers. Caravans rolled again along the Silk Road, guarded by Mongol patrols. Coins and ideas traveled farther, faster, safer than they had in centuries. Paper, printing, gunpowder, and compasses moved west. Glasswork, astronomy, and medical texts moved east. Diplomats wrote in Persian, Chinese, Mongolian, Arabic, a bureaucracy that spoke empire like a native tongue. This was the Pax Mongolica, peace through fear, order through mobility. But peace came with a ledger. Cities that resisted were erased. Populations were displaced. Fields went untended under the shadow of new masters. And the very highways that carried silk and scripture would, a century later, help carry the Black Death across continents. An unintended echo of connectedness. Genghis Khan did not invent a global world. He connected one that already existed, and connection multiplies both wonder and ruin. His law punished kidnapping and theft, banned aristocratic privilege in the ranks, and promoted men for talent alone. Women of the imperial line managed trade and diplomacy, commanded camps, and negotiated peace. To the conquered, he could be a monster. To the poor, he could be opportunity, the one ruler who measured worth by skill, not birth. Today the wind still combs the Mongolian steppe, bending the grass as it did when a boy named Temüjin learned to ride and to hunger. Old caravan roads, paved and wired, still follow the bones of the Silk Road. Freight trains and fiber optic lines trace the same valleys his couriers once crossed by moonlight. Empires rise fast when fear and hope pull in the same harness, when a single idea teaches strangers to ride in the same direction. The same hunger that drove the horsemen of the steppe would, centuries later, send other civilizations skyward, seeking the heavens above rather than the horizons beyond. From Beijing to Bukhara, from Samarkand to the Khalkha, the lands Genghis Khan bound and broke now trade again, argue again, remember and forget again. The maps have changed, but the longing has not. The human urge to stand somewhere unreachable and call it home. Genghis Khan did not tame the world. He taught it how quickly it could be crossed, and far to the west, beyond deserts and oceans, another people would carve their faith into mountains, hiding their city among the clouds. Next on Mini History, Machu Picchu. Why the Inca built a hidden mountain city.